Welcome to the Law Life podcast. We are here with attorney Logan Schlossberg, newly admitted Logan Schlossberg to the California licensing of attorneys. Welcome, darling. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm so honored and cannot believe I'm here sitting with you as an attorney.
So a little bit of a history for our viewers and listeners. Logan was an apprentice applicant. So tell us a little bit about the California apprentice journey to licensing. And, for those of you that have no clue what I'm talking about, California is one of the only states, if not the only state, I believe, that allows for this option of licensing by being an apprentice, supervised by a licensed attorney, right, in the state. Talk to us about why you wanted to go the apprentice route versus the law school route. And also for those of you tuning in, Logan and I work a little bit over 4 years together, right?
Yeah.
Approximately.
Yeah.
So we have a long history. She's one of my favorite, not even applicants, just people on the planet.
Yeah. So I got my undergrad in Kansas and I ended up moving to Chicago after to get my master's. And when I moved back here, I started working for my father's law firm, doing their marketing, their client relations, which I loved. And I started thinking, this is pretty awesome. I should maybe consider becoming an attorney. So I started looking into law schools, part-time schools, just everything. And financially, it seemed tough. I didn't want to quit my job, which of course you have to do if you're a full-time law student. I know that's a really hard route to go, but I was actually just online and I found out that California has a program. It's called the Law Office Study Program, otherwise known as the Apprenticeship Program. And it was part-time. It was very affordable. It seemed like a good route for me to at least try. So in January, I think of 2020, that's when I filed all my paperwork with the State Bar of California and I began the apprenticeship program. It requires a lot of self-discipline. You don't have a teacher. You don't have someone telling you what to do, when to do it. So you really have to stay on top of it. But it is very doable. And I was working full-time still.
Yeah. So talk to me about like the requirements. Like you have to be supervised from the time that you start the program all the way until you have to take the baby bar the first year, which is when we first met. And then you are supervised how many hours a week?
There's a couple hundred hours you have to submit on your reports that you submit twice a year. So you tell them, it's over 300, over 400. I can't remember the exact number, but it's a lot. And, you study under either a judge or an attorney. I studied under my dad. And you take the courses as you can. You learn, you buy books, you study, you use online resources. You hire someone like you who saved my life and really gave me a schedule and really taught me how I needed to learn each subject, because that was where I was really struggling on how to learn the classes, everyone's learning in school.
So you're on this journey and you're working or you're learning at your dad's firm and you're studying there, and that might feel a little lonely, right? You're not in like the law school classroom with friends, you're not making friends, you're not having that camaraderie of like, what did I get myself into? This is so intense. But the key is you persevered, right, through the entire time. And so somewhere along the first year, you said to yourself, I need a mentor, right? Like I'm working with my dad and I'm having his supervision, but I need why were you looking for more of like a tutorial for the baby bar? Were you just not wanting to do it on your own? Because a lot of even first year law students don't get a tutor or a mentor during that time. And I'm assuming that as an apprentice applicant, you just felt like I even more so, right, need some additional cushion.
First off, I saw the statistics for the passing of the baby bar, and they're very low. And I was worried that I just did not have the structure. And mind you, my dad has not taken these classes in a long time. He went to law school a while ago. And he would teach me, and he was great and we did a lot of things together. But I was like, I need a tutor. I need someone to show me how many hours I need to spend on criminal law, contracts, torts, how I need to be outlining things, what MBE even looks like, which what to use, where to go. And then, of course, that pass rate was so low. And I was like, okay, I need to start looking into finding a mentor / tutor to really guide me through this process and taking this exam. Because it's no joke. The word baby,
and I literally remember our call. I was driving. I think I was out of town. I think I was in San Diego. And that was our first call. And I remember hearing in your voice this commitment. It was like, yeah, whatever I need to do. And that really was your mindset throughout the entire 4 years. When I think about your journey, it's tenacity. Like there is this unbelievable, unrelinquishing commitment to the journey and the process, even though it was scary at times and even though there was so much unknown because you weren't being trained as a law student. And I thought, gosh, this is really how it's done, every time. So I remember you contacting me and we put you on a year schedule, right? At that time, the baby bar still had the essay component. Now the baby bar is taken out. The California State Bar has taken out the essay component. Do you remember what that studying was like?
Oh, yeah, of course I remember it. I remember when I was packing for lunch and I was here just like I was studying for the bar. I was taking it just as seriously because you cannot continue in your program if you don't pass the baby bar in my program. So to me, the baby bar was almost more important because you can sit for the bar however many times. That's not ideal, but you can. But the baby bar, you want to pass so you can move forward. So I took it.
Yeah. And by the way, that just so you know, that is the same for first-year law students that are required to take the baby bar. So in those programs, if they don't pass the baby bar, then most likely than not, they cannot continue their law school journey. And it's an area of contention. And it's an area that applicants have a really hard time with. And then me as their guide, I have my opinion on it because I think it's ridiculous. I think that they should be able to take it numerous times and definitely get help taking it. So you study for a year. And during that year when you were, doing this, especially when you got to contracts, was there ever a moment where you were like, what did I get myself into?
All the time.
In this program?
All the time. And going back to the loneliness of the program, not having anyone to talk to, not really knowing anyone. I met one person in a Facebook group who her and I were almost on the same exact track. So I had her at least, and we stay in touch still. But just that loneliness, that was where I would really doubt myself, being like, no one else is doing this. Should I even be doing this? This baby bar is ridiculous. I don't even know if I'm going to pass it. And it's like, there's so many things, especially with the MBE. I've never seen questions like that. I really, I consider myself a smart person. I don't know how people do this.
Right.
It's hard.
It is hard. And I think especially when you don't have that camaraderie, you don't have other students around you. For any apprentice applicants or applicants that are thinking about doing the law office study program, just know you're not alone, because unless you're in law school or you're a lawyer, it's really hard, just like any profession, to understand what someone is going through, with that amount of new material. And especially when you get to a subject like contracts, it can really feel like a different language. Okay, so you take the baby bar in June of what year?
I want to say it was June 26th, 2021, maybe?
Okay. And you pass your first time.
Yeah.
It's really important for those studying for any type of exam, but especially the baby bar or the general bar. As sharp of an applicant as you are, because you were the entire time, whether it was the baby bar, the MPRE, and the general bar exam, which you banged out all three on your first time.
Yeah.
I remember a lot of self-doubt through that process.
Yeah.
How did you get through that?
To be honest with you, some days I didn't. There were some days where I had to close my book, and you'd tell me that, and you'd be like, you're not going to learn anything more. Just go home, rest, reset, the next day come in, and just keep pushing it. Getting 1 out of 10 on an MBE quiz. Like, okay, I got 1 right. Let's look at it. Let's see what I know. And now let's go through the rest of the 9 and figure out what I need to do. And it really just was doing it over and over.
Yeah. So there's this saying that I say, and some applicants like you sink their teeth into it, and others have a hard time with it. And it's trust the process, right? Trust the process is a really crucial kind of mantra that I give my applicants. And a lot of applicants, I feel like, don't understand what that means. What does that mean to you? And what did that mean to you during this time?
To trust the process is you have to trust every single day, every single thing that you do is part of the journey. Failing your MBEs, getting a 50 or a 40 on an essay, or literally writing an essay that you don't even know what you just wrote. Like, you have to trust that that's part of where you're getting yourself, where you're going to start getting those 8 or 9 10s, where you're going to start getting those incredible essays where you're hitting every issue. You have to like embrace the failure almost.
Yes.
Take it in,
Yes.
restart the next day, and just keep hitting the pavement until you see the growth.
You're hitting it on the freaking head. That's exactly what it is. It's despite the hard days, because I think there's this misconception. I know there is. 15 years of doing bar prep, thousands and thousands of applicants, seeing all different personalities. But there really has a journey to this, right? And so when you have your hard days and you have your moments of self-doubt, when you say to yourself, this is part of it. Like, I could postpone the exam right now, and I could spend the next year just doing bar prep. But when you get to the grinding time, which is like the 2 months before, right? Or 2-3 months, and things start escalating, you're always going to feel uncomfortable a lot more than, a lot more than not. And so it's on those days that you have to say to yourself, this is part of the process. This is part of the process of growth, of learning. And so that's what you did. And it's really quite remarkable because you didn't have, again, law students around you. And on that baby bar, you had 3 of the essays submitted as, or chosen as, the model answers. And I talk about you a lot in my courses because that is incredible. How did you find out that your essays were picked as the model answers?
Well, first of all, they would not have been chosen had I not had your essay approaches, because they're incredible.
Thank you very much.
But when I sat for the baby bar, you have 4 essays, so you get 2 dupes, you get 2 contracts, 2 torts, 2 criminal. I was praying that I was going to get anything but 2 contracts, and of course, I got 2 contracts. So, I'm already nervous starting off, but, I felt strongly on the essays, and I always have. I like writing essays. That's my favorite part of the exam. So when they released the model answers, I was eager to go look at them, and I was able to spot 3 of them just because I know your outline cold, and I remember what I wrote. So I was able to find 1 contract, 1 torts, and 1 criminal that were chosen as the model answers that were mine.
Amazing. Congratulations. So that happens, and then you pass the baby bar. Now you still have about 2 years until the general bar?
I think about 2.5.
2.5 years. Okay. All right. So what Logan does, she doesn't say, oh, I'm going to just, waste these next 2 years. What did you do? You came to me and you said, Shana, be my law school, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
The University of Shana.
I mean, it was a very unique situation for me because I typically just do bar prep, but something in my gut was like, I know that she's going to go all the way, but in order for her to really, because I have a high level of respect for anyone that goes through the process of becoming an attorney, right? I mean, it is a grueling process, but you are just such a beacon of light. Your commitment to the process, your attitude, always very positive and really trekking through despite that uncomfortable feeling or whatever it was. And I kind of knew if she doesn't really learn the law and get a head start on all this, because you didn't go to law school, it's going to be really hard to pass the exam on your first time. And so the real reason, just a little insight as to why I wanted to commit to work with you for all these years was because of you.
Thank you. Gosh, we learned everything. I mean, we learned the classes that are on the bar. I mean, you started me, I don't even remember where we started, but we did Civ Pro, we did real property, we did evidence, we did con law, probably twice. Con law was very hard for me. You had me kind of go back and kind of do it again. And it was incredible. You had me really focus on the MPRE, another thing that I just did not want to take twice. I wanted to get it out of the way. So you put me on a really strict schedule. It was just too dense. It wasn't clicking for me. And, it's an important subject, ethics, because you're tested on it on the essays, on the actual bar. So I was like, we got to get this done. We got to get it moving.
Well, initially you were with Barbary, but Barbary was giving you so much law. Remember, it was overwhelming.
I mean, you put me on a strict schedule, class by class. I took a final exam.
I just want to clarify, he was on a semester schedule. So we were in Shauna's law school, CA Bar Style School of Law, and we were doing semesters, and that's how we organized them. And I do think we started with real property, if I'm not mistaken, but I honestly don't remember the exact trajectory of the schedules. But over 2.5 years, we covered all of the MBE subjects that were not included on the baby bar. And then we went into a non-MBE scheme closer to in an early prep setting. So it was months and years and months of preparation that you stayed on and that you stuck to. It was so impressive. I mean, you got all the work done. I had you do finals. I had you do, I don't know if we did midterms, but I know we did proctored finals or in-office finals. And you had this hunger. Was there ever a time you wanted to give up?
No, there really was not. Honestly, the baby bar was harder for me, but once I passed that hurdle, and like you just said, I mean, I was hungry for it. I wanted it. And there was something you always told me and always told our class. And you said when you took the bar, you were like, I'm not doing this again. And that really stuck with me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing this again. I'm going to take it once and I'm going to do whatever I have to do to just take it one time. And I said that to myself every morning. I wrote it down on paper every morning. And I just did what you told me to do.
We talk about the positive affirmations during the process, right? And so it's really easy to wake up. I say easy because I think our state of mind tends to go right to the negative, right? So it's like you really have to train your mind instead of saying, oh my gosh, I have so much work to do today. Oh, I really wish, it's summertime. I was by the beach. I want to be out, vacationing in Italy as well. Like everyone on Instagram seems to be doing. I want to celebrate Christmas if you're taking a February bar and not have to, right? Not have to worry about, like I took a February bar too. And so you're going through the motions and you're like, I really want my life back. But if you can train your mind, which you can, the mind is a powerful thing. And you can instead rewire your brain to wake up and have positive affirmations throughout the day where you're saying to yourself, it doesn't have to be a whole soliloquy. It can be, I got this.
Right.
I'm capable of this. I'm never doing this again. When I took the bar, I had a 6-month-old. I was like never taking time away from my family, my friends, my husband, the ability to make money because you have to really sit in a chair and study a lot and minimize distractions. That is where, and I think one of the biggest hurdles I see in applicants is that exact thing, which is they're able to do it, but there's a mental roadblock that really stops them from saying, day to day, I got this. Day to day, I'm going to get through it. Day to day, I'm capable of doing this. And for anyone listening, whether it's one of my applicants or someone struggling to pass this exam, you've got to have that element. When we talk about the tenacity, the hunger of an applicant, it's those nights where you have everything mapped out. You're so super focused. You're so super organized. So when you were ready to study for the bar exam, so you went through 2.5 years of CA Bar Style School of Law, and then I know you're engaged now. So when did you meet your fiance? Was that through this process, through the journey?
No, I met him back in college, back at the University of Kansas, and we got engaged October 10th, and we're getting married this October. So
Congratulations.
Thank you. And that was another reason, like I want to move on with my life. I want to take this test. I did not want to take July. That's very close to my wedding that was coming up. I was like, I got to do this. I got to get this done. What do I need to do to get it done? And wake up and let's do what I need to do. And that was it.
So when you studied for the general bar, were you eating, living, breathing, sleeping the bar exam for the 2.5 months before the exam?
Yeah, I would say I was. But I really, I felt very honored to be, when I got that email that said I was eligible to sit for the bar, it was such an honor. And I think a lot of applicants that do sit for the bar, like, man, like pat yourself on the back. Like you are eligible to sit for the California bar exam. That in and of itself is incredible. I mean, I got teary-eyed when I got that letter because this has been such it's an interesting non-traditional way to get there. So even getting there to me was like, wow, like I got here and now I'm going to show them that this program works and that people in this program can pass the bar. And I felt very honored.
Yes. And you are a model for that. The law student, the law office program is what you're referring to. Do you know what the pass rate is for law office applicants about?
You know what? My dad and I were trying to look that up. I don't know exactly, but I was
I don't
reading.
think it's on the statistic list. I have
I
to
don't
check,
know
but I
if
don't
it
think
is.
it's on there.
But
Yeah.
I was reading I could only find an article. It was back in 2004, so, a while ago. But I was reading that in this article, someone was doing the program and they were giving stats that like, I think 2 to 4 people actually make it through the program per year.
Then 2 to 4 people actually go through. And
that was on an article. I'm not sure what it is now. And
I mean,
I don't know
think it's very high. I don't get a lot of inquiries or calls from Apprentice. I call them Apprentice applicants. I don't get a lot of calls, but, I think regardless, I never see an applicant in terms of the source of where they come from, what type of law school, what background, what country. Yes, that has to be factored into the preparation. But in terms of their capability of whether or not they're able to prepare well and pass, everyone can. Everyone has it in them. Anyone that's gone to law school, graduated law school, and wants to get it done, right?
Yeah.
So it's the desire.
You just have to want it. You have to want it real hard.
Real hard, and put your mind to it. So you studied your off for 2.5 months. What was the actual, because, all those years, we were really taking our time with the law and the practice. It was an elongated preparation. Did you feel ready at that point to tackle more hours? Did you feel overwhelmed? What was that like?
I think when I was doing the law school part at the beginning, mentoring under my dad, studying with you, it was a really nice pace, especially to take each subject at a time, which I know when people go to law school, they're usually taking more class, not more than one class at a time. So having to do one at a time was great for me. I feel like I really got to absorb everything. And then when it came time for bar prep, there were a couple of subjects that were harder for me to pick up so quickly. I remembered the basics, but I'm like, oh gosh, now I really got to kick it into high gear. I think the hardest part for me was being the MBE, as you know, doing more of those, spending more time on those. And I would spend sometimes more than half my study day on MBE because I just was not used to taking so many.
And it takes so much time to improve on the MBE. It's either like you're just a natural multiple choice taker and you're good at multiple choice, or you got to work really hard to get to even like a passing standard. So it is, for those listening, I think so many applicants think, oh, well, if I'm on a schedule, I'm in a course. And it's a whole process, and it also has to be strategic. It can't just be doing questions, looking at the answers. Of course, at CA Bar Style, we have a whole tracking methodology and really getting into the law and patterns of areas that you're getting wrong. And I remember like you were struggling with criminal procedure questions, remember? Yeah. And so it was like really like go into what areas of Crim Pro, what amendments are you getting wrong, what nuances of law, and really be in tune and have a high connectivity, of your real understanding of where you're getting wrong. So, okay, well, long story short, you take the February 24 exam and you pass on your first time. I posted a video with I don't know what going viral is, but it has thousands of views. And, you check the results. What was the day like of results, or the week?
God, the week was bad. The day was terrible. I was losing my mind.
I know we were about to answer, but back it up to even like leaving the exam, because I think, a lot of applicants get out of the exam and they mess up on a few parts, which is going to happen, right? You're not going to be perfect. And you're like, I failed. People can think I failed. I messed up on the PT, or I messed up on this. So what was your feeling all those weeks? Was it high confidence?
Day one, I felt very, very good. I left day one. I
The
loved the
writing
essay.
day.
I loved my con law essay. I loved everything I got.
She
That's
loved it.
probably it. I
Look at
know.
that. She
That
loved
was
it.
my least favorite class. I was very happy with the essay questions I got. I left knowing that I missed a couple of things. It happens, but I felt strong enough to know that I did solid on day one. Day two did not feel that way. I left thinking I honestly failed the second day.
Multiple
Yes,
choice.
the multiple choice. There were tears.
Was it both the AM and the
It
PM
was
that
it was
felt
the
hard for
AM.
you?
So
Or
it was the AM that was bad. I went home, or I went back to my hotel. I had some lunch. I called my dad, had some tears, and then I looked at the clock and I was like, okay, I have to go do part two. And I was just like, suck it up, get it together. You feel like you didn't do well on that first half. You need to go in there and crush the second. So I went in shaking, freaking out, and you have to turn the emotions up. You have to just go back into high gear. I got in there. I felt much better about the second half. But I mean, the MBE and I are just not best friends. So I left day two a little worried. I didn't know where I would stand on the MBE.
that's your state of mind.
Right.
Yes. Normal.
Right.
Normal to feel that way. So you want to maybe second guess how you did. You're gonna feel a little uneasy. You're gonna feel like you messed up on something. What you really want to avoid is talking to people about it, because what
Right.
one person thinks the issues are or how hard something was
Terrible.
is
Terrible.
not necessarily going to be how you experienced it or what
It's
you
so
put down.
terrible.
And, going on the blogs and everyone has their opinions, you got to really, like you said, what's done is done at that point. You got to move on. And then the waiting period sucks so bad. I've been there. It's a terrible time. So you got to keep busy, right? As best as
Not
possible.
gonna sugarcoat it. It's hard.
Yeah. So so you took the February. So we're looking at March, April. So you have a much shorter waiting period than the than the July bar, because that's August, September, October. So another month
Yes.
for the July bar, which is, grueling either way, but you made it through and then you passed on your first time. Major congratulations. What do you think was the key ingredient?
I really think, what CA bar style did for me was taking, and the law is very complex, and there's some classes that literally feel like a foreign language. There are literally some terms that are in Latin, like quite literally. No one's making this easier for me to digest. But CA bar style and you made the essays seem like, okay, I know what this means. I know how to lay this out. This isn't as scary as it looks. I just needed someone to explain that to me. And for multiple choice too, which, still was hard for me till the very end, but I was able to take it and do enough to understand, like, okay, this is what this question's asking me. Don't freak out. Here are the answers. And here's why I know this one makes the most sense. And this is why I'm going to choose that answer. And I just feel like and along with the schedule that you gave me, and you're so organized like myself, and just listening to how many hours I needed to do a day, even though I wanted to go over, you'd always tell me not to. You cannot stray off of your schedule.
That trust process, not doing your own thing. No, because you are the epitome of what really this takes. And I wish, it's not that applicants, again, are not capable, but I wish that state of mind could be superimposed and, diffused into applicants' brains that don't have that understanding of what really is needed to get this done, because you can get it done. You just have to not only believe in yourself and practice the positivity, but have the tenacity, the drive. I remember you sending me a picture right after you passed, or you posted it. I remember it was all this labeled outlines. Your floor was like a night of studying. I think you were laying on the carpet.
I was laying on the floor.
You looked kind of passed out. But this is what it takes, right? You cannot half-fast the California bar. You can't, do a little dabble here and a little dabble there. You've got to do, and whatever program you're in, whether it's mine at CA Bar Style, whether it's a different program, you have to trust their process. You have to trust what they're giving you and be committed to it. So major congratulations. Now you're a licensed practicing attorney. Are you
Okay.
going to practice
I
with your
am.
dad? What's your plan now?
I am. I currently am practicing with
Amazing.
my dad. Yep. And it's
Amazing.
off to a hot start here. I'm not going to show, but I got a bunch of files all over the floor.
No, show. We want to see. I would love to see. Is there like just a bunch of
There's
files
just
on
a
the
bunch
floor?
of stuff.
A little bit. Yeah, look at you. So wait, remind me, he does
We
employment
do
law?
workers' compensation defense. Yeah. My dad opened his
Let's give a plug. What's the name of the firm?
Schlossberg and Umholtz.
Okay. So there you go. Well, now it's Schlossberg, right?
Right? Right? We got to add the extra.
Yeah. That's so
Thank
cool.
you.
And then you're getting married soon. I mean, do you look back on this journey and what's like one word to surmise how you feel looking back at the last 4 years?
When I say the word pride, I feel very proud. The word pride, I think, works. And I feel so
You should.
proud of just starting the program, even. I mean, looking at myself in 2020, I was telling my fiance this the other night because he was asking me the same thing. He was like, so how do you feel? Like, what's the biggest thing? What do you feel right now? And I'm like, I just wish I could go to that girl in 2020 and be like, holy cow, like, what are you doing? Like, look at you. Like, I'm so happy I did that. And
You're so capable. Why are you so scared, right?
Right. Just submit it, do it. And I'm so happy I did. And I'm so happy to be here over 4 years. It's really, I'm still shocked, really. It's taken some time for me to really like get acclimated with everything that has happened. It's a very, I feel very proud. It's a great feeling.
I think you should be very proud of yourself for sure.
Yeah.
And isn't that the crazy thing about life? We put a foot in, then we put 2 feet in. And by the time we know it, we're somewhere so different. And we say to ourselves, like, what if I didn't take the leap? Like, what if I wouldn't have done that? And I would have been in the same position. It's never too late to start, regardless if you have stalled. Some of the most successful people in the world started in their 50s, 60s, even 70s. So I'm so proud of you. Thank you for, just bringing a light to my life and really inspiring me to keep doing what I do. Doesn't mean you didn't have your bad days. That's expected. That's expected to have days of stress and days of self-doubt. Any tutor that tells you that you're just supposed to study, doesn't have your back. So, really great job. Model example of how to get this done.
Thank you.
Whether you go to law school or not, okay? And I'm so excited to see, what you're going to do now with your career. It's going to be great because I know anything you put your mind to will get done. I guarantee you that. So congratulations on the upcoming wedding. And thanks for being part of Law Life today. And just huge congratulations. So proud of you.
And I want to, before we finish, I want to thank you. I mean, I could not have done this without you and CA Bar Style. Truly.
Thank you.
I mean, this has been a journey for both of us, and I'm so grateful to be here. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for saying that. That means a lot, but really, really proud of you. Major congratulations. And thanks for, being on the journey for 4 years. Yes. And now on to the next.
On to the next.
All right, darling. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Talk to you later.
Thank you, Shana. Bye.
You've been listening to Law Life, a podcast about navigating law, life, and everything in between with host Shana Karpelis. Thank you everyone for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for episode updates. For more information on the show or preparing for the California bar exam, you can visit us on YouTube at CA Bar Style.